Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to continue working on the dragon. This hungry dragon needs to have a little bit more refinement, and that's what we're going to work on in this sculpting session. First off, you can see me selecting the different polygroups, and that's actually making sure that I have everything in different layers, so I can actually either select the arms or the legs or whatever I need at that moment. Now I'm going to make sure that all the nails of the model actually fit into the hand. So first things first, we're going to make a layer around each of the fingers, just using a regular clay brush with a modified alpha, and that'll just make the brush strokes a little bit smoother. After that, we're actually going to create a place for like the bone structure underneath and pull out the fat tissue and the muscle tissue that's beneath there. You can also see me carving in and pushing out tendons, and that's just to give it a little bit of a realistic shape. Also working on the arms and adding them and giving them a little better shape. And I could have chosen to cut this piece out, but I wanted to show that it's not always. Sometimes there are just happening things in between. This time I had to get the door, there was a package delivery, so. And after that we'll continue working on the arm like this, and you'll see that it's actually really figuring out what would be the best place to actually add certain details. And also this is the same thing we did with the teeth, actually pushing in the space around there, and that'll make sure that there will be more of a shade as soon as rendering and the lights hit the object. One thing to keep in mind here is we're sculpting at the highest resolution here, so there's a lot of detail, and it's really important to keep track of what we're doing here and how we connect everything up, just to give the overall look, making sure that it all fits together, and not that there's like one piece that has a lot of detail compared to the rest of the model. And now we're adding in more of a muscle structure and actually connecting it all up. And this is all done with symmetry, so the things I'm doing at the right hand will also automatically work at the left hand, and just to speed up the work. And after that we can also disable symmetry and then work on separate pieces, but that's for a later moment. First things first, really getting in those details in the major and the bigger shapes. And always a good thing to zoom out and check the rest of the model to see how it's all connecting up and if it's readable from like a distance. And you see we're moving here to the feet of the creature, the dragon. And actually just repeating the process. So first off, drawing around the nails. And I'm also here, and it's something pretty important, I'm actually checking where the thumb is connected to the rest of the feet and the rest of the claws here. And that's just because they are kind of in a rotated position, and I want to make sure that they're actually connected to the rest of the body here the right way. If I'm not mistaken, I'll change it up a little bit later on. Yeah, there we go. And just pushing in and actually changing the place where like the palm of the hand or claw would be in the side of it, and that's just to align and make sure that it all flows well. And that's why I'll zoom out later just to see how it all connects up. And this is just creating the rest of the tendons and making sure that it's that the fat tissue is also there and that the nails and claws are actually connected in. And that's why I'm moving it around now with the transparency on, and that's just so I can see how it all connects, and it makes sure that I can select the pieces beneath the rest of the claw. And this is what I meant with zooming out and really looking at how it's connected. You can see me here drawing the rest of the muscle structure, actually making sure that it's somehow a convincing structure that's beneath there. Some minor tweaks at this part. You can see the rest of the model is hidden, and that's just because I really want to focus on the claws here. And you can see now that I've decided that if the claw is rotated like that, then the bigger part should actually be at the outside of the claw here. So that's what I'm doing now, actually adding the muscle tissue at the right side and removing some of it in the left side. And because there's way more than enough detail, I have actually got the freedom to change that around without actually destroying too much of the anatomy at the back. And the next part is actually improving the anatomy of the leg itself. And the great thing is I've got some more anatomy resources recently. I can really see how muscles should flow, and that's actually something that I'm changing right now, just adding a little bit more of a realistic flow to the entire leg. And that's just, well, and if it reads well, then eventually the model will look way more convincing and way more, well, realistic. Even though this thing doesn't exist, if the anatomy flows a bit better, then eventually it'll look like it could have existed, and, well, this is how it should and could look. And keep in mind here that I'm using a human anatomy figure as a reference for some of the pieces that I design. And in this case, a thing that I'm now looking at is when I'm looking at the front, I want to see some of the muscles in the back. That's the same with like the human leg. You see actually that the calves, you can see them from the front without really a problem. And that's something I'm trying to create here without making them actually like too big. But that's it for this sculpt session. I would say thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.